Sweet. Holly bets? How does the UV, polymers? Oh, dude, first of all, Eric, can you hear me okay? So you're like the first person in here. What's the sound like? Sounds good? Because I have okay, good. Because I have the fume extractor going and it's kind of loud, but I put noise canceling on the microphone, hoping it would help. Okay, good. Okay, so Eric, your question, dude, all polymers, all of them. So it works on every single plastic that I've tried. Excellent. Glad the sound is okay. Nice. Thanks, AJ. Appreciate that. Yeah, this thing's been great. I'm like literally, so here's why I decided to go live. I know I'm talking down here, but I'm looking at the comments. I got this last minute job to do 60 Jack Daniels. Let me show you here. So I'm doing these Jack Daniels single barrel bottles for the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta for an event that they're having. And the management company that handles Jack Daniels reached out to me and they're like, hey, we got an event coming up. Can you put this logo on the side of these bottles? And I was like, oh yeah, I got a great machine for that. So I'm down here burning the midnight oil, and I figured if I'm just sitting here staring at this thing, you know, I might as well go live, maybe answer a few questions about the UV laser. If you guys have any questions about how it works or kind of what I've been doing with it, it's new to me too. But you know, I've already made a few videos and I'm just amazed at how well this thing does with glass, honestly. No, that's the cool thing is you can do full bottles of whiskey just like I'm doing, and it does not harm anything inside. It's not going to crack the glass. I'll show you when this one's done. So each one of these marks is taking about 3.5, 4 minutes. It's a small mark. It's what they wanted. So, so this machine's only 5 watts, American Field and Arms, but it's getting the job done. Right. So you guys are seeing the easy part. So I spent a lot of time. Let me tell you what's kind of going on, the big picture here. So here's what it looks like when it's done. I don't know how well it's going to come through, but that's the logo that I'm putting on there on every single one in the same spot. And what's really crazy, and I don't know if you can see this, is the State Farm symbol right there. It's so detailed, and it has like lines and inset lines, and you can see every bit of it. I could never do that with a CO2 laser, which is crazy. And it's actually an engraving that you can feel. Like if I drag my fingernail across it, you can actually catch on the logo. So, and like I said, this mark's taking about 3.5 minutes to do each. So just gonna put that sucker away, grab the next one, answer some questions here. Have you only engraved glass with your UV? Have you tried? Oh yeah, I've tried lots of other substrates, Meredith. I have a whole video on it on my channel. Done wood, leather, plastic, glass, some metal. I wasn't too impressed with metal. So about that. So when it with the UV laser, when it comes to metal, if you're looking to get like deep engravings like you get on a fiber laser, that's not what this is for. So you'll be able to etch metal and mark all metals, gold, silver, aluminum, all that stuff, but you're not going to get much depth. So if you're looking for depth, stick with a fiber laser. Or you can get depth. It's just going to take a fiber laser is going to take a lot longer. Let's see. About weakness then. If you want to engrave on silver, like actually deep engrave on silver, Gypsy, I would definitely get a fiber laser for sure. Yeah, if you want depth on silver, get yourself a fiber laser like maybe the F1 Ultra, or if you got a little bit more money, try to get a fiber laser in that $5,000 to $6,000 range for a quality one. Yeah, 60 watts, plenty. You can get great depth on polymers. Let me go back to, someone was asking about the, let me load this up here. Boom. I'm supposed to be working and answering questions. Okay, here we go. Okay. You guys remind me to put the next bottle on if I start running my mouth too much. Yes, you can get depth on polymers. Yes, I make my own jigs. This jig is really specific that I made tonight, and I used kind of a silicone, fast setting silicone to do it. And I'll tell you why I did it that way. As you can see, this bottle's, you know, kind of got some angles to it. And if you just lay it down, it's going to be, you know, it's not going to lay flat. And it's really important with engraving that you lay everything at a flat angle, especially for the UV laser. So not only does it not lay flat, but it also kind of laid a little bit to the left because of this kind of ornate design here. So I had to create like some putty that sets really quick, and I set it down, and I used a level, and I set a level on it, and I mashed it in to where it was perfectly level on a Lego base. So that way it set it in the mold. I basically made a mold of this. So then I could just drop each bottle in and have it registration perfect every time. And that is a throwaway, unless the customer calls me back for more. I'll keep it for a while, but that's kind of a throwaway jig, but it works really well. I've been getting perfect registration every single time. I probably spent like 35, I'm not going to lie, I probably spent like 35, 40 minutes like constructing that whole monstrosity there. It's got blue tape, fast setting putty, a Lego base, all kinds of crazy stuff, but it works. You know what I mean? And I'm getting the job done now. So let's see, right on, recommend 60 watt. Where do you find the silicone jig? So for the silicone jigs, there's two things I like to use. There's this stuff that I got. because I was out of my favorite stuff at Michael's. This works in a pinch. It's called Amazing Super Mold Putty. But listen, it took 20 minutes to set, and that's a little bit too long for me. So what I really like to use is dental putty. And if you go check all my videos, I have a whole video on how I use that because it sets in like 3 minutes. That's the best stuff. You can get it on eBay. Lucid Light says he has a 5-watt UV laser and having trouble with keeping the etching on the surface of the glass. It goes subsurface sometimes. No, the only time, so Lucid Light, the only time that's going to happen is if your focal point is not set correctly. So if your focal point is not set correctly, or you're using the wrong type of focal process, you will do subsurface engraving. And it's funny you mentioned subsurface engraving because I have a video coming out on that really soon. So yeah, it's really important with UV lasers that you have your focal point on point. No pun intended, but listen. So I made this. You guys have seen these for fiber lasers. I made one specific for this machine that is my exact focal point because I don't trust those two little dots, little targeting dots, and I don't trust really, honestly, these numbers on the side here. So I made my own focal stick, so I'm in focus every time. But you will do subsurface engraving on accident if you're not focused correctly. You taste every bottle. He said you taste every bottle just to make sure it's okay, right? Rocky, do you have an opinion on IPG 50 watt? So that's funny you said that, Rocky. I actually have an IPG 50 watt. It's behind you. It's over here. You can't see it. The IPG laser source. So is a IPG Photonics is one of the top of the echelon of laser sources, and then everybody underneath that is kind of secondary. So you're going to pay a lot of money for an IPG laser source, and then hopefully the company that puts that laser source in their machine is also making a good machine as well. So if you want top of the line, get a fiber laser with an IPG laser source. You expect to have more UVs? Yes, I think I'll make a few more videos on the UV as I get to know it better. Let's see. Is it worth it? Do you recommend it? If you want a really industrial fiber laser, Rocky, and you want to, yes. I mean, dude, I don't know what else I can say about this IPG laser source that I have here. So I've had it since I started my business. So it's almost 10 years I've been using the same IPG laser source. And it's just the beam quality is great. It's rock solid. Check out Laser Marking Technology Group. They use IPG in their stuff. And you could reach out to them and tell them you want a 50-watt laser with an IPG laser source in it. They'll build you one. But just remember, you're gonna pay for it for sure. Laser Marking Technology Group. AJ asks, what do I use for fume extraction? Right now, I'm currently, I think you can see it right here. I am using the micro filter box. And I didn't list a link in the description, but after this video is done, I will list a link there. It's very small, very compact. It's doing a great job. What lens size do I recommend for the 5 watt? I think this one, I can't read it, but I believe it gives me about a 6" by 6" marking field. This one's been working great on everything. You could get like the 4" by 4" lens. I think it comes with it. But honestly, it's been working great. But I've really been using it on glass mostly. But I've done engravings like, you know, I've done some fat engravings on glass with this lens right here. So it's pretty solid. Tennessee, I have not dialed in a black mark on stainless steel with UV yet. I'm not sure if it's possible. It's one of the things on my list that I need to try. I definitely know how to do it on a fiber laser all day long. And you don't need a MOPA to do that either. You can do an anneal black mark with the F1 Ultra, which is not a MOPA. You can do it with a regular pulsed fiber laser. It's not about being a MOPA. It's about your focal distance, defocusing, and the frequency of the laser. So hope that helps. Yeah. So let's see. What else we got here? So anyway, that's how we did the jig. We did with the mold. I've got 60 of these bottles to do. I don't have all 60 to do right now. I've done quite a few already, but I definitely probably have about half of them left. Yeah, depending on what lens you put on, that's the size of the marking area that you're going to get. Ed, you're either going to get like a 6" by 6", or if you switch lenses, you'll get like a 4" by 4". And when you're using the 4" by 4" lens, you're kind of concentrating your power a little bit more. For those just joining, that's what we're doing. We are marking these full Jack Daniel's bottles with this logo using the Omni1 UV laser. How do customers find you? Meredith says, color engravings on stainless steel is what I'm going for. Yeah, Rocky, if you're trying to do color on stainless steel, you will want a MOPA. I was just saying you don't need to have a MOPA to do black. Yeah, how do I price a project like this? Well, that kind of, let's see. That was the question. So how do I price a project like this? Great question. So first of all, you have to think about, what's up, Drake? Thanks for joining us. First of all, you have to understand like the questions I like to ask the customer right off the bat when they call me for the job is, so I ask them, what are the bottles? You know, so I can look them up online really quick, see what they look like, get the gauge of the size. I ask them questions like, how do they come packaged, right? Thanks, Gypsy. Appreciate that. How do they come packaged? How much packing is it? Unpacking and repacking is involved. These are super easy. They come in cases of 6, and there's no additional packing. Like I literally just open the box, slip one out, engrave it, put it back in. Super easy, right? Then I ask them about the logo. What does the logo look like? What's the approximate size of the logo you want on the bottle? Am I doing a logo on one side of the bottle and then something else on the other side of the bottle? Am I doing a person's individual name on each bottle underneath the logo? So the more questions you can ask when a customer comes in or calls and says, I got this project, the better will help you make your final price and your quote. Because over time, as you've been in the industry for a little bit, you start to get a feeling of how long these things take you. But asking the right questions before you even open your mouth and start spitting out costs is really important. So with this job, I asked all the right questions. I knew that there were 60 bottles. So I automatically charge a $35 setup fee. That's a one-time fee that I charge the customer to prepare their artwork, to make a proof, send it to them, do some revisions. That's what that's all about. And then I know that this mark, based on its size, is going to take about 3 minutes per bottle. And I probably spent, like I said, 30 minutes or 40 minutes making this little fixture right here. And if I just sit here, you can do the math on how long 60 bottles can take. So I came up with the price of $18.50 per bottle. So it's good money for the amount of time that I'm spending. And another way to look at it, like this, check this out. This one job right here is paying off 1/4 of what this machine costs. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, exactly, Eric. So you can get some really nice jobs. And, I mean, think about what I'm doing here. Like one of these bottles, somebody look up how much a bottle of single barrel Jack Daniels costs. You know what I'm saying? Like, look that up. You also want to consider, like, what are you working on? Like, is this a $3 item, or is this a $60 a bottle item? Now it's a $78 a bottle item after I'm done with it, or 70. Now it's an $80 bottle. So I also it's not the top priority, but I take into consideration the level of care and the value of the item, like how it needs to be handled. Is it a high ticket item? All those things I think about before I quote a price. Yeah. So it's like 70 bucks a bottle. I'm making $18.50 on it, plus the $35 setup fee. And yeah, it's good money, man. I'd say the hardest part about this job was the fixture. The rest of it's just slap it in the fixture and go. And the other thing that I'm doing that helps me keep the flow going is I moved I know this is going to sound really silly, but I moved all the boxes as close as possible to me. So I don't have to go over here, like everything's right here. So I can talk to you, I can keep working. And I try to do that with all my large production jobs. I try to keep everything tight and close around me so I don't have to waste time walking to another table. Yeah, ergonomics. Exactly, AJ. Tennessee, this particular customer found me. And I think that to answer your question is how do customers find you? Um, you know, you got to have a professional presence, so you got to have a good website. You need to be on Instagram. You need to have a Facebook business page. You need to put yourself out there. And I think that also having some great Google reviews helps a lot. So I ask often when I hand my jobs to a customer, whatever it is, watch yells at me for not. When I have a customer where I hand them their product and they're like, "Wow, that's amazing," you know, or whether it was a quick turnaround or they're just super impressed with the work, I make sure and ask them before they leave with the item if they could take the time to drop a review on Google. If they're really happy with the product, I tell them that that's the best tip I could ever get is a review on Google. And all those things, having that website, having an Instagram presence, having good Google reviews, you know, all those things add validity to your business and who you are and what you do. And I think that when people are searching for laser engraving services, whether it's a commercial company looking for it, an individual, your website will come up on Google and so will your reviews showing that you do good work, you know? So I would focus on those things. For sure. So I see this is the last one in the case. So I'm going to put one there. We're going on to another case here. I'm going to open this next case real quick. I'm also staging these up, and I'm setting them in a specific direction. So that way, when I pick them up, all I have to do is lay them down. That way, because I have to put the logo on the right hand side. So I don't want to get caught up talking to you guys and accidentally put it on the left side. So that's why I'm staging them with the label facing me. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. I'm just sitting around working on $70 whiskey bottles, running my mouth on YouTube. No big deal. Yeah. If I mess up on one of these bottles, that's on me, Tennessee. I will replace it. That's me. That's my responsibility. Josh, this is the Commarker Omni1 ultraviolet 5-watt laser. There's a link in the description if you want to read all the details about it. And I have a video out on it as well. You can watch it on my channel. Drake, if you got a CO2 galvo to do this, I mean, a CO2 will engrave glass, but you're not going to remember, Drake, with a CO2 laser, you're not going to actually engrave the glass, which is what we're doing here. So we're actually engraving the glass, meaning we're removing material. We're not microfracturing the surface. That's what CO2 lasers do. They don't actually remove material. They just fracture the surface. So what we're doing is we're actually engraving the glass so you can actually feel the material that was removed here. It's almost, I kid you not, if you've ever felt sandblasted glass or sand etched glass, it's the exact same thing. You cannot tell the difference. It still blows my mind. But yeah, the CO2 galvo will definitely get the job done. Carlos, what's better for whiskey bottle engraving? Definitely a CO2, for sure. Any CO2 laser like the X-Tool P2. The F1 Ultra, not gonna be your friend when it comes to laser engraving glass unless you love putting black tempera paint all over your glass, letting it dry, lasering through it, then washing it off, then drying it off, and then packaging up. If you like that, then you could get the F1 Ultra and use a diode laser. I would stick with CO2 if that's what you can work with for glass. And then if you're doing a lot with the CO2, eventually level up and get yourself a UV laser for glass. Oh yeah. I mean, I've already had some customers that I do glass for, that I've always done their logos on the CO2 laser. And I handed them their new stuff with the UV and they're like, whoa. They're like, what did you do different? This looks so amazing. They like noticed right away. So I was very happy with that. Yeah. So Tennessee, if you go over to laserengraving911.com and you become a member over there, which is free, you just sign up. You can access the downloads page, and I shared my light burn settings for the Omni1 UV laser. It's kind of a mix of the settings that they provided me, but then I added a bunch of my own custom settings in there, especially my setting for glass, which I'm using right now. So that's in there and that's free. You just go sign up over on my website and you can access it and download it. How do you align the laser beam correctly? Great question. Nice, Carlos. Thanks. Yeah, so I don't know if all of you have watched my UV laser video or my Maker Flow video. If you haven't watched the Maker Flow video, there is a part in that video you can get for the thanks, David Drake. Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Um, there's a part in there where I talk about this product right here, and this is I'm answering Meredith's question. So right here is my UV sensitive registration powder because the UV light is very hard to see on many different objects. Um, so what I do is I take some of this powder, and I listed a link in the description of this video. If you have a UV laser, and this is like a game-changing product, okay? So you just dust a little bit on a thing and you dust the surface, and then you draw on light burn, you just put a box that's the same shape as whatever you're trying to register, and that UV light will that box will light up like Christmas on any surface. It doesn't affect the engraving at all, and it just wipes right off when you're done. um, it's basically an ultra fine UV sensitive powder that I use, and I used it only in the beginning. I don't use it on every one. I just used it to register my artwork, make sure I was square, level in the middle, using the powder first. And then once I had that set, I never put it on again because I know that everything's aligned. So I always use boxes and outlines to line up my object underneath the UV laser. And if the UV light is not showing up, I just hit it with some of this powder. Um, yeah, Whitney, you haven't heard of the powder because nobody's used it, and I'm the first person to show everybody about it. So it's on my website. It's like 15 bucks. So if you get a UV laser, you should definitely check it out. So using a highlighter pen or this little tiny ultraviolet like acrylic sheet that they gave with is just ridiculous. I was like, there has to be a better way, and there is. Wonder of how close I can get before it gets like, ooh, there you go. Pretty cool. Yeah, I'm always thinking, if you haven't noticed on my channel, I'm always thinking of ways I can kind of improve on things or make my life easier in my job. And I knew before this machine arrived that the UV light was not going to show up the same way it does, like with a red laser on a fiber laser. I knew that was going to be an issue. So I started thinking early of how can I get rid of that whole problem so I can just make sure I can see my frame on anything, including glass, white, black, red, whatever the color of the object is. And that powder is the ticket. I use a piece of paper or white acrylic. Yeah, so you can do that. You could, or you could just dust it with a little bit of powder and then wipe it off when you're done. Or shoot right through the powder. It doesn't matter. It won't affect the engraving at all. Is one laser the best brand to go with right now? You know what? I can't give you my full opinion on that. All I've done is an unboxing on that machine. I'm really looking forward to doing a review on it. I'm trying to get the space here in my shop to set it up, so I can't give you my full review on the one laser right now. It seems like a really cool unit. It's got some great features. I'm excited to get into it. Yeah, I think the powder, Whitney, is a game changer personally, for sure. Oh, is anybody going to be able to go to the APA show next week in Vegas? I think I made a little video on it. I'm leaving on Monday to go to the show. Hey, Andy. Oh, man. I am trying to get better at 3D printing so I can make my own permanent fixtures, Andy. I only have so much bandwidth in my head between YouTube and running a full-time laser engraving business. Like, dude, I wish I could just spend like a few weeks doing a crash course on 3D modeling because I have the 3D printer. I would love to do that. Kind of the same way like Samcraft just like dove headfirst into like making fixtures. Love that guy. Yeah, there's going to be some really cool UV printers at the show. I do have multiple, AJ, I do have multiple fume extractors in the shop, and I have different stations. I have a fume extractor at each station. Except for my fiber laser. I actually just bent that one outside. I wonder if, really quick, I will show you how this UV powder works really quick. Would you guys like to see that? See if I can not disconnect the live feed. Okay. You guys see that okay? Need something like to prop this up higher. Okay. How about that? You guys see that okay? Okay, good. All right, so, oh boy, I got to be really careful here. Okay, so can you see the frame box right now? Kind of, right? tilt up, okay? You can kind of see the frame box, right? Okay. So I know you can't, and I turned off the overhead light. So let's see. Which one do I want to grab here? All right, so grab yourself like a, I find that these work good. I sell a brush with the kit, but it's not as fine as this one. This is like a little makeup brush. And all I do is, let's see, just barely tap it in there. Get a little bit on there, right? Boom. You guys get the picture, right? Yeah. Here. Difference. Big difference. Yeah. So anyway, that's how that works. So when you get around to getting a UV laser, or you already have some, there's a link in the description. You can pick it up. Now look, just to show you, here, I'll just show you. I'll leave it right there, and I'll laser right through it. Doesn't matter. Boom. Registered. Look at that. It's all glowing. You see how it all lights up? And if I stopped lasering right now, the powder still glows afterwards. So anyways, that's how that works. I just wanted something, like I said, make my life easier. Looks like the Northern Lights. Yeah, that's pretty fun. So my glass setting that I built, that's in the Lightburn parameter library that I uploaded on my website, actually does 2 passes. It does one going this way, and then it does a crosshatch one more time, the exact opposite going the other way. And I found that to be a really nice, clean, crisp glass engraving. So I put it in there. If you want to, anybody wants to download it, you can. See, there it goes. Now it's doing the crosshatch starting from the other side at a different angle. Oh yeah, Ed, dude, wouldn't that be crazy if you could like melt it into the engraving? You could have like glow in the dark engravings. That'd be pretty cool. Sure, somebody will figure out something. I'm in Eric. I'm in Georgia, about 45 minutes north of Atlanta. Let's see. It's about to end. Let's see if it still glows. All that powder around it when it finishes. Okay, it's about to finish. Any day now. Oh, you can kind of see it still glowing there. That's crazy. You could, yes. Let's see, stop moving. Stop moving. Yes, you can. You could, but keep in mind that's going to add to your job time. I could just do kind of what I've been doing. Or remember, I only do this on the very first one. I don't do it on every one. I was just showing you guys how it works. So what I'll usually do is just whoop, whoop, look, gone right into the fume extractor. That's it. And now you can see did not affect the engraving at all. Okay, I am going to move this back now that we're done with the laser powder demo. Boom. Try not to knock anything over. Okay, let me get this next one on. Okay, let me answer some questions. What are you guys doing? Led Zepp 3311, you got a 10-watt laser setup about 8 months ago. I'm hooked. What would you recommend for a second laser? UV? Oh, definitely a CO2 laser for sure. CO2 is going to be your most universal laser. I wouldn't jump right to a UV. I see the UV laser as not like a, I don't really see it. I don't know how to say this. Like you could start a business with it for sure. Like it'll engrave wood, it'll engrave leather, plastic, glass, and all that stuff. I just see it more as like another tool to add to your existing laser engraving business arsenal, because CO2 with a big bed is still going to, it's still going to give you a lot more opportunities. Like you're not going to do a huge cutting board on the UV laser, right? You're going to get that done much faster on a CO2 laser. You're going to get a darker char mark. It's just, I wouldn't start a business with a UV laser. You could though, you definitely could. I think it's best suited for people that already have a CO2 or have a diode that want to add some more capabilities in their shop. Oh, Foxy, we just did a whole demo on the UV powder. You can rewind, I think, and watch that. Doug, UV printers can engrave pretty much any substrate known to man. They're not just for glass. They just really do a great job at glass. Yeah, when the video's finished, I'll look at the comments and I'll put links to anything that that you guys are asking about in the description of the video. And if you come back to the video, I'll list what kind of glasses I'm using and fume extractors and all that kind of stuff. Yes, James, my PyBurn rotary is, I have the fiber laser hookup for it. I even got the little attachments that you can get from PyBurn to mount it to the bed. And I'm very excited. Yes, it absolutely works with the Omni1. I just need to dial in the rotary settings and calibrate it, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But you can see I'm so excited. This is how I see when things start to get close to the laser, that means I'm getting closer to actually using them. I can't wait to set it up so I can start doing like wine glasses, beer mugs, all that kind of stuff. Very excited. I'm only bringing this up. I know some of you guys that have been here for a while have already seen this, but for new people, I just wanted to show them what we're doing on the bottles. We're using the UV laser Commarker Omni1 to laser engrave full bottles of Jack Daniels. Okay, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Just got into using, looking forward to exploring more. How many days? Whitney, I'll be there on 2 full days, 4th, 5th, the morning of the 6th, and then I leave that afternoon on the 6th. So I won't be there all 4 days. May have missed the settings you're using for the current glass engraving. Can you summarize? Clive, you can go over to my website, laserengraving911.com, make a quick account. It's free, and download my whole Lightburn parameter library for the Commarker Omni1 5-watt UV laser. And you can just look at the settings yourself. Thanks, John. I might. I'm always, when I finally have some time to start getting into, I mean, I understand the basics of 3D modeling, John, and I know the software, and I have a decent printer. I just, there's only so much time. It's only so much time in the day. Yep, Led Zepp. If I mess up one of the bottles, I have to replace it. This customer found, Whitney asks, you probably already mentioned it, but how did you get this bulk order of bottles? Can you mention it again? So they actually found me for this specific order. I answered a question like this earlier, Whitney, about just how to get customers to find you on the internet and how I get business. But this specific job came to me it was a referral from another customer who works in the liquor industry who I've done engraving for in the past. And he knows the company that's in charge of Jack Daniels, because he's in the liquor distribution business. And they had mentioned that they were looking for an engraver and that they have a machine, but it's old and it's broken and they can't get it working. So he dropped my name and gave me a great reference and said, Michael does great work. You should reach out to him. And they did. And so I got this 60 bottle order for the Atlanta Hawks and State Farm event that's going on. What's up, 3D HP? So, Whitney, it was a referral from an existing customer, which is always nice. That happens a lot, more often than not. When you do great work for people and you have a happy customer base, you want to try your best to create what I call sneezers. So sneezers are people that, I don't know if anybody's ever heard this term before. There might be other ways to say it, but you want to create sneezers. So they're people, customers of yours that are so happy and so impressed with your work and your pricing and your time of delivery that the next time they're at a party or anywhere, they immediately drop your name. They're like ambassadors for your company. And they're just like, oh, I got a guy. He's great. You know, he does great work. Here, let me give you his number. You know, that's my goal, is to get that word of mouth referral. It's very powerful. Yep. Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, but this particular job was a referral from an existing customer to a new customer, and I'm pretty sure, I'm very confident that when this new customer gets these bottles, that I'm going to be their guy from now on, which is a really nice contract to have. So I want to do right by them. Oh, Meredith, that's a great question. Have you played with doing images on glass with this? Like if you wanted to put a nice contrast. Oh yeah, Andy, I'm telling you right now. So Andy asks, have you played with doing photographs or images, like photographs on glass, inverted, of course, like you have to do on glass. Um, this thing would slay images. You could absolutely do ultra high detail photographs on glass, especially with a dark background, like on these where the liquor is dark, and the engraving is white. As long as you invert the photo and use Lightburn to process the photo, you could use Image R to process the bitmap. But I have no doubt that this thing will, with this laser and Lightburn combined, you could probably do some really high def images on glass, no doubt. There you go. Perfect. See, people are already banging it out. Meredith said, what else would you do besides 3D modeling if you had the time? Meredith, I feel like you're like, these are questions that like a life coach would ask, like, so if you had all the free time in the world, what would you be doing with your life? It's a great question. Let me open up this next bottle here. Next case, excuse me. We're down to 4 cases since we've gone live. I'll tell you what, if I had more free time, I would love to know more about UV printing. Not to be confused with UV laser engraving. I would love to learn about the equipment. I would love to add that capability to my shop and be able to print color logos on cups and other stuff. I mean, I know about the technology, I know how it works, I know all that. It's just learn the whole machine, the whole process, the whole software, like really get good at it. So I could start offering UV printing on lots of stuff in my shop. Maybe if I have time this year, that's what I would like to do with more time. Yes, Ed, there is no such thing as more time. It's so true, man. And depending on what you're doing, you can speed up time though, or at least make it seems like it goes faster. You can speed up and slow down time depending on what you're doing and where you're at in life. But there is no such thing as more time. Which one? Third? Oh, this, you're talking about this right here? Oh, right, John. Thank you. I appreciate that. These are actually just bling because these bottles are so custom. These are actually just bling that are specific to the people that they're going to. This is the part I'm concerned about, is making sure that this is on that I laser on this side right here. But thank you. Good looking out, John. Good looking out. Yeah, so there's the UV printing is definitely something I'd want to get into. UV printing, I guess I'll be taking a look at DTF printing here in a month or so. I'm supposed to be getting one of those machines in here to do a review on. Don't know what I think about that. Like, I want to get into it and learn about it. So we'll be kind of learning that together. I'll be doing a review on that machine. 3D modeling, 3D printing, printing my own fixtures. Um, if I had to pick a UV printer right now, I got my eyes on a Mamaki UV printer. Also, I have taken a look at LogoJet. They seem to be pretty cool too, but something keeps telling me that that I should, when the time is right, I should get a Mamaki. AJ asked, how many lasers do I have? Well, I'll answer that with how many lasers do I have that I actually use in the shop. So I have a 50-watt fiber laser with an IPG laser source. I have the Commarker Omni1. I have the Epilogue M2 Fusion over there, 120-watt CO2 laser. And then over there, I have an Epilogue Fusion Edge 60 watt. So I have 4 lasers that I use for work. And I have a lot more in here that I do videos with and do reviews on. But we'll get to eventually. We'll try to get through them all. If you could do either. Okay. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. Yeah, I know that LogoJet will be at the APA show. And so they're also PDS Equipment, which I think is a distributor of Mamaki. They'll be at the show too. So there'll be multiple UV printers at the APA show in Vegas next week in demos. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I mean, I've seen them before. I've seen demos. It's just a matter of um, money, of course, time investment, space. I'm trying to find a larger commercial space right now. I've kind of outgrew my shop here at home, so I'm looking for like a 2,000 square foot flex space right now, which is been kind of hard because it's not much in my area, or they want too much. Yeah, thank you for the reminder, man. Yeah, if you guys can smash that like button, that would be awesome. Thank you. Didn't even think about that. I'm just like working and talking and working. I don't go live like this very often. Yep, Led Zepp, you're gonna have to figure out how to make some glass molds so you can just have the whole factory at the house. What's up, Jack in the shop? Hey, 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 hey. Welcome. Really, Ed? Hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things that I kind of, I guess, is just part of doing business with UV lasers is the maintenance. You know, um, the maintenance is messing with wet inks and print heads and cycling and white ink being constantly circulated in the, what is it, titanium dioxide, or that's in the white ink, how that can screw up the print heads. I get a little spooked when it comes to the daily maintenance, especially while I'm learning. Like, from what I hear, if you're not using that machine like every single day running prints, um, the ink jets are going to clog, or the print heads, and I don't know. I got a lot of questions about that. What's up, Lucky Dog? No problem. So, yeah, for those of you that are just joined us or anybody new, we are using the Commarker Omni1 5-watt UV ultraviolet laser to engrave glass bottles. And not just glass bottles, we're engraving full bottles that are full of Jack Daniel's single barrel whiskey. So we're putting a logo on them. Earlier in the video, we talked about how I made the fixture for this whole setup. It's more of a mold for this specific bottle, so I can just slap it on there and hit the go button. Um, but I just wanted to kind of show everybody how well this machine does at engraving glass, and give some ideas of the kind of money that you guys can make doing this kind of work. Um, and having the right equipment to do this kind of stuff. Meredith, the only kind of maintenance that this machine would need is to make sure that you keep the lenses and the optics clean on a regular basis and inspect them. I would say at least once a week. Take it off. I've been bad about that. I'm not perfect about that. And you want to make sure that the lenses stay clean. And really, that's about it. They're all solid state stuff, so it's not much maintenance involved in these. This is for you, Lucky Dog. So you can see what we're doing on these bottles. It's the whole bottle. Do 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 do. That is what the customer asked me to do, and that is what I will do. Of course, that was, you know, after I sent him a proof, after I um, after I took so when the customer called and they finally dropped these off, the next steps is I take a photo of the bottle in my little photo booth, take it over to Photoshop, take out the background, bring it into Illustrator. I'm doing a whole class on this actually at the APA show on how I make proofs for customers. Then I take their logo that they supplied to me, a nice vector, which was cool. They don't always give you that. Um, and then I did a little mock-up in Adobe Illustrator for them with the photo that I took. And I showed them placement of the logo, exactly how big the logo is going to be, where it was going to go, and then sent it back to them for approval. And I got approval pretty quick on it, and they said that looks great via email, and then I'm good to go. At that point, it's time to go to work. Sometimes they ask for revisions, or they want the logo a little bigger, or they want it raised up on the bottle, or some other configuration, and that's fine. Ackworth and not a Hawks fan. Oh man, Justin, about your question about the threads on the MakerFlow cups, I honestly have no idea. If you shoot me an email, you can go to my website, laserengraving911.com, use the contact page, shoot me an email. Maybe next week, if I have one laying around, I can check for you. But you can also just ask MakerFlow too. Just shoot them an email and ask them. They're really helpful people. Oh, Clack Shack. Okay, so he says this was talking about maintenance for the UV laser. Dust in the heat sink on the source is a real thing. Okay, see, learning here from the Clack Shack, right? So there is a heat sink, I believe, right here, and you can get dust in there, apparently. But I think Clack Shack, you work on a lot of wood stuff, right? So you got a lot of sawdust going on in your shop, am I right? So anyway, regardless, you could also do some weekly maintenance, blowing off the heat sink right here, making sure that nothing messes with that heat sink. Yes, Meredith, my show will be recorded, and you can go to the APA site later, and I believe they sell the classes or access to the classes a la carte. Just order the X-Tool P2 PS2 and the F1 Ultra based on your videos, so I will be asking tons of questions. Right on, John. It's a good that's a good starter pack, man. It'll definitely help you get in the door, get your feet wet for sure. Yeah, dust from all the other tools. Just a good air blow works. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I have one of those right here. So blow off right in here if you get any dust buildup. Yep. Will you provide affiliate links to the PyBurn after the show? I don't have any affiliate. I'm not affiliated with the PyBurn. Um, I actually got that one, so I'm not sure if I have any coupons or anything for the PyBurn. This is my first, so I'm excited to try it out. Uh, I'm excited to get some of that magic time to actually sit here and dial it all in. Have you gone over the glasses yet? I have not, Tennessee. So all my laser goggles that I wear are from No IR. I've done links. I'll put a link later on this video, but I like to get my glasses from No IR, NOIR. They make the best laser safety glasses. They're not the cheapest for sure, but these ones that I'm wearing are rated for this wavelength of light and fiber as well. So, and they're expensive because they have a higher visible light transmission. That's the VLT rating. So instead of being like super dark green or super dark orange or any kind of tint, they actually are more like, I don't want to take them off because the UV is right there, but maybe I have another set. Hold on a second. So they're more expensive because they have a lot of visible light can come through. That way you can actually see the real color of your work and see the real everything. You're not seeing like an artificial color. So I'll list a link after the video to these. And they also have the side protection as well. So I don't know if you can see that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this mold I made for this specific bottle is really nice. It just kind of just drops in there. It's ugly. It's an ugly fixture, an ugly jig. But who cares? It's getting the job done and it's accurate every time. Red's Records asks, do you need to wear glasses like that with an enclosed epilogue like engraver? No, you do not. So like the G100 fiber laser, when the door is shut, is not considered a class 4 laser. It's a class 1 laser when the door is shut because it's all contained and you have a viewing window. Same with the CO2 lasers back there. When the door is shut, it is not a class 4. It's when you have a laser that's powerful enough to cause like permanent blindness or damage that's open like this. This is called a class 4 laser. The fiber laser off camera to my left here that you can't see is also a class 4 laser. And with those, you always want to wear eye protection and have proper fume extraction and make sure that everyone around you knows that you're using a class 4 laser and that you don't have a bunch of people coming up without goggles on or some kind of eye protection watching what you're doing, specifically at like trade shows or craft shows or anything like that. You have to keep not only your own eyes in mind, but other people walking up. You don't want to be using these type of lasers in front of them with no eye protection. Or your animals or fur babies. Right. Yes, them too. Yeah, that's great. That's good advice. Clock Shack, that's good advice, man. All good stuff that I will definitely keep my eyes on. Oh yeah, look at those little fans. You are right. Look at that, dude. Clock Shack's talking about some fans sucking it. Oh yeah, I can see. I see that. So yes, Meredith, she may not be around, but that is definitely part of your weekly maintenance for sure. Is on the other side over here. Clack Shack pointed out there is some exhaust fans that are sucking air in. Are they? Yeah. Are they sucking in, did you say, or blowing out? What are they doing? On the right side of the source, there's a whole row of fans that drag dust in. Oh, yeah. Okay. So pulling dust in, cooling off the heat sink. I get it. But definitely want to blow some compressed air on the right side every week to keep that clean or however often you need to. Good tip, man. Good tip. Okay. That was another case down. Time for the next one. We're down to 3 cases. One knife. Well, these are definitely some fancy bottles. Woodford Reserve. I get a lot of those requests to engrave Woodford Reserve bottles as well. Those are great for engraving because they have all that flat surface area. Boom. Okay. Boom. Nice, dude. Epilogue Fusion Pro 60 watt. It's a great machine. Red's Records, that is a very nice machine. And next month I'll be thrown in with the wolves and hopefully becoming a master engraver. Well, one of the ways you can get better, if you haven't already, Red's Records, is to subscribe and watch a lot of videos on my channel. If you're just getting into it, because not only do I teach you guys about kind of the basics, some advanced stuff about laser engraving, all kinds of materials and processes, I also happen to use epilogues in my shop quite often. So maybe that'll help. You need the pedal for that thing. You have the before the pedal work. I do have the pedal somewhere. They sent it for sure. I just haven't hooked it up yet. I have pedals for my fiber laser too. I don't know. When I was, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you a story. Yeah, it does come with a pedal for sure. I'll tell you what, I had this job. Oh my God, let me go get this thing. Okay. So I had this job where I had to engrave this silicone strap, which was permanently fixtured like this on the end of this wireless speaker. And I was going to use the UV laser because it actually engraves silicone really nicely. But for the life of me, I couldn't figure out a jig to lay this thing, and I'm trying to lay this flat because it's rubbery and it kept wanting to spring back and it doesn't want to lay flat. And at one point I had thought of the great idea that I was going to take this bolt out that kind of holds it in its loop section and lay it flat on the table, right? That was one idea I had. And then, but it kept wanting to like bunch up and I didn't want to use like, dude, I was all over the place. And at one point I thought, man, what if I just held it in place live? I was engraving because it's so fast and used the foot pedal. That was my whole point of telling you this story. And then I kind of stepped back and took some deep breaths and was like, that's probably a really dumb idea. I'm not going to do that. So I eventually figured out a solution. And the solution was without having, I didn't want to take this screw out. I didn't want to take this screw out and undo the strap because then it was more work later for me to have to put the screw back in. So what I ended up doing is I ended up laying the speaker flat, and I ended up putting a nail on a piece of wood right here so I could loop the nail through and then pull it tight to where it flattened out the strap. And then that was my fixture. And then I lasered the logo on each one of those straps. I figured it out. It's not a secret, Lucky Dog. It's not a secret. I already talked about pricing early on in the video. I kind of went into detail about it. Yeah, so early on in the video, I do cover pricing and how I price this specific job. And I talked about asking the right questions when the customer first calls you and asks you, that says, you know, hey, I got 60 bottles that I need engraved. It's really important that you ask the right questions when someone calls you before you start coming up with prices, because every job is different. So I ask the customer, what kind of bottles are they? How big are they? You know, are they all the same logo, or am I doing different logos? Am I adding an individual name to each single bottle? What am I doing? How big do you want the logo? So the more questions you can ask, it will be able to come up with how much labor and work, whether it's on the computer or at the machine, because as anybody knows who's been in this for a while, you know, the time here is, once you have everything set up, you're not really charging by the laser time. You got to look at the whole picture, like preparing the logo, unboxing all these bottles. Was it complex to unbox? Was it easy to unbox? You know, like you got to think about all those things. So in the end, because I knew that the logo was not that big and it was all the same logo in the same place, every single bottle was the same. I knew that I could set up a fixture. I knew it was going to be very easy to just open the case of 6 and pull a bottle out and put it back in with no additional wiping or LA's totally awesome cleanup or anything like that. But I also knew that it was a higher end, high ticket item. So these are kind of a higher end item. So I ended up charging them a $35 setup fee for the project, and then I settled on $18.50 per bottle for a batch of 60 bottles. And each bottle takes about 3.5 minutes to do. Does that answer your question, Lucky? I only do, so Glenn, I only do defect factor when the orders are like 1,000 pieces or more. It's for anybody that just joined. That's what the mark looks like. You know, one of the things I wanted to cover is that before I had a UV laser, it was very interesting. And there is that, I'm not dispelling this as like a myth, but one of the things I kept hearing before I had a UV laser is how sensitive the focus is, and that, you know, if you're just even the slightest bit out of focus, um, you know, like maybe you're working on a slightly curved surface, that they're super finicky and fidgety, and that your engraving won't come out right. So I was expecting the focal, you know, tolerance to be in or out of focus to be very sensitive on this machine. And what I've found so far since I've been using it is that um, it's actually very similar to like the fiber laser. I haven't run into any issues, even on like a slightly curved surface where I had to kind of split the focus. It still has done a great job. So, you know, it is a much finer dot size of the UV laser, but I think because also I'm using the wider lens that gives me the larger marking field, I haven't really um, I haven't really had any issues with it going out of focus when I've had to split the focus. And I just wanted to say that. I know some of you might maybe not know what I'm talking about, but I know some people here know exactly what I'm talking about. And I just haven't had an issue where it's like super sensitive focus and it goes out of focus easily. I can actually kind of flub it a little bit and everything comes out fine. Yeah, Jack in the shop. I guess you could look at it that way if you want to. I didn't really think about it like that, but I'm gonna get some water real quick. Oh man, that was good. Hey, Tabitha. So normally I make my bottle, uh, I make these kind of fixtures out of either two-part dental putty, which I buy on eBay, that sets in like 3 to 4 minutes, but I ran out. So basically, just to keep it really simple, when I have weird shaped objects like this that have maybe, I don't know how to explain it. I don't use this putty on everything. It's only for special jobs. But I'll use two-part dental putty because it sets within 5 minutes and I can make a mold and level it. And then it freezes in that place. So I can just set it in the mold. But I ran out and I knew I had to get this job done. So I had to go get this other kind of two-part silicone putty. Um, Hold on a second. From Michaels, believe it or not. And it worked, but it's not what I would recommend. It totally worked. It just took too long to set. It took like 25 minutes to set the mold, which, time is money, right? Um, I think I might make like another video on this because I've been recording like outside of this live session. I've been recording the whole process. So I might make like a full video on like what was the whole process of from the beginning of taking the order, designing the proof, setting up the jig, aligning it, using the UV laser dust to register it. I think that would be a fun tutorial video for sure. It did come with both lenses, Jay. Yeah, I haven't done any ramp tests, Todd, but I've definitely engraved many different types of glasses, um, whether they're full of whiskey or not full of whiskey, or whiskey glass or wine glass. Um, and all I know is that when I'm in proper focus, and the way I do that is I made a specific focal stick for my machine for this specific lens that I'm using. And when I use this stick and I focus right, um, it I don't have any issues going past the focal point or doing subsurface engraving. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate that, man. Right now on this job, I'm dead in focus to the surface of the bottle, Meredith. I am in focus. AJ, that is a great question. I can share that file on my website. I could put it up there as an SVG so you can cut one yourself if you have a CO2 laser or a diode laser. But they say, and I do believe this, that my focal stick may not be the exact focal distance for your machine that you'll get. So I always encourage that people find their own best focal point on their own machine with their lens and then make a focal stick off that. But I can still share the file, and then you could take your best focal measurement and just adjust the file to meet your needs. So still a great idea. I will add that to the website. I'll call it the Commarker Omni1 focal stick file just for you. Yes, even if it's the same laser, AJ, 100%. even if it's the same exact laser. There's slight differences that can affect each machine has its own specific perfect focal point. It may just be a millimeter or two or a half a millimeter, but it can vary for sure. I think you can run, Justin, I'll answer your question. He says, what software runs Lightburn? You can use Mac or Windows. Jack in the Shop uses a digital laser tape measure. Nice. Yeah, you have to give me a few days, AJ, but if you check back in the downloads area, I'll put a little note in my phone to add the focal stick file. And if you don't see it up there in like a week or so, just shoot me an email. All right, AJ? I get busy and I kind of drop the ball here and there sometimes. Man, we are almost there. Kinda. So the only thing I wonder is if I had a 10 watt UV laser, then it probably would cut the time in half from 3.5 minutes down to maybe like just under 2 minutes or something like that, somewhere around there with a 10 watt UV laser. Yes, that is the Sony PV. That's the Omni1 UV laser. Yes, it is a true 150 millimeter by 150 millimeter. From what I can tell, I haven't had any problems. Of course, I don't usually engrave anything that's 150 millimeters by 150 millimeters. Not yet, but you never know. Boom. I will say that if you do get the Omni One, you definitely want to, or any kind of fiber laser or the Omni One, you want to check the calibration files that they sent with the machine and make sure that when you're projecting a, say, 50 millimeter by 50 millimeter square, when you're in focus, that you measure that after you laser that little square, make sure you're actually getting that. And if you're not, you may have to go into Lightburn and fine tune your settings a little bit to make sure that what you're projecting with your light is actually what's being laser engraved. As long as you know you are in correct focus. If you know you're in the correct focus, and you put a 50 by 50 millimeter square on your screen, you laser it on a piece of metal or whatever, and it comes out off a little bit, you can make those adjustments in Lightburn and dial it in really tight. Always check their calibration file, core file, you know, just to make sure everything's dialed in correctly. Nice, Tabitha. M1 Ultra is a pretty fun machine. Definitely a universal machine. The F1 Ultra is also a very handy machine to have around, especially if you're just getting started. What is the UV source brand? You know what? That's a great question, Lucky. I haven't actually done a super deep dive into all the different UV laser source manufacturers out there, and I haven't opened this up to find out. But you could definitely ask Commarker. It's definitely a question for them. If you wanted to know the factory that's making the UV laser source, if that matters to you, I would definitely reach out to them and ask them. But I don't have the answer to that. It's a source that works really well. It's worked really well for me so far. I can tell you that. Yeah, for sure. I think it's fast enough. You're talking to Tabitha. You're talking about the UV laser. Yeah, for the mark that it's producing at the size. Um, I think this is very normal for this kind of size logo and a speed that I would hope for. The thing is Tabitha, to answer that, the UV laser is taking about 3.5 minutes to put this mark on these bottles. Could I do it faster on my one of my epilogues over there, right? My high-powered, high-speed epilogues. Yes, but could I get the level of detail required to get all the little parts of this tiny logo with the CO2 laser? No, I could not. So having this tool, even though it takes slightly a little bit longer and it gets such a clean mark on glass, I'm choosing to use the UV for this specific project. And I'm totally fine with 3.5 minutes per mark. Sorry, just opening up another case. I got 2 more cases to go. And then we out. For anybody who just joined us, we're using a 5-watt UV laser by the Commarker Omni1 to engrave full whiskey bottles, Jack Daniels. And here we go. Ooh, look, they screwed up. This one's got double bling on it. Someone's getting a special bottle. Ooh, these have 2. Oh, they all did it. Whoa, I wonder if this is like a special case for someone. They get two blings on it. Don't know. Don't care. Not my problem. But as long as it doesn't interfere with my engraving. Let's see if I can answer any tips I'm having. Carlos asks, are there any tips on having smooth to the touch finish when engraving on glass? I'm pretty sure that he's talking about CO2 lasers. I have a whole video, Carlos, on engraving glass, my top 10 tips. It's on the channel. You can go ahead and watch that, and that will answer your question. Sunny, do you think Xtool will be releasing a UV laser this year? I'm going to say if I was a Magic 8 Ball, I would say chances are probably no, because they're focused on some other things this year. I went all out and got an Xtool P2 on my first laser. I think might be in over my head. Yeah, I don't think you went you got it, got an over your head, come and take it, man. I mean, the P2's like a great starter laser. I think what you really want to focus on is start watching, you know, I don't know if you're using the XCS software that came with it or you're trying to dive into Lightburn right away, but if you're struggling with Lightburn and that's kind of where you're getting caught up, try the XCS software that came with it. There's lots of tutorials on YouTube about using both of those pieces of software. Just keep watching tutorials, man. You'll get it. Let's see. CO2 does have a bigger dot size. Yeah, Jack in the Shop. It does have a bigger dot size, but that doesn't, right. And using a lot of power, Todd. So going up in power is, it's not always a benefit. I guess we're kind of talking about glass here. Yeah, yeah. Having a, it's not all about power. Glasses on the CO2 laser. There's some definitely some tricks and some techniques that should be used to try to get a smooth, clean engraving. That video definitely has some tips in it. Lucid light. I'm guessing you're talking about the laser source in the Commarker Omni1. Yeah, I mean, then I guess it's their own proprietary UV laser source, and that's fine. Or they're contracting with one of the UV laser source manufacturers and having them build a custom laser source for them. A lot of companies do that. A lot of companies do that. That is not uncommon. For example, the F1 Ultra. Don't know if you know this or not, but the laser source, the fiber laser source that's in the F1 Ultra is a custom laser source built by one of the main laser source companies just for them, just for the F1 Ultra. So it could conform and fit into their whole F1 Ultra design form. So there's another example. Hey, Jesse, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate that. So they could make a custom proprietary laser source just for the F1 Ultra for the fiber part. So it's very common. Have you tried? Yeah, Meredith, I've tried all kinds of different thicknesses from glass to thin to thick to regular thickness. Works great on all of it. There's really no, oh, where is it? Let me just show you. Oh, where did it go? Where did I put that? I was trying to find my, oh, here it is. Who wants to take a guess? Take a guess at what the temperature is of the laser. We'll use this, okay? I want to see all your guesses in the chat of what you think the temperature right at where the laser is, where it's engraving the glass right now. Best guess in Fahrenheit. Okay, here we go. That's a good amount of guesses. (74°F). Boom. Proof's in the pudding, people. When they say cold laser technology, they mean it. if this was on the CO2 laser right now, it would be hundreds of degrees. It just engraves a completely different way. And if you haven't watched my video on kind of the technology behind it, on the Commarker, it's up on the channel. You should watch it, and I kind of go into that more in more detail. But it really does not produce a lot of heat to remove and ablate the glass material, which I'm just like, because every laser I've had up until this machine has always uses heat to ablate and destroy and obliterate the material. Thanks for playing that. What is the temp on the next blank? It should be the same. Yeah. Yeah, now I'm getting 72 on this one. So guess it did, you know, towards the end get up a couple of little degrees. Yeah, a focal stick file. There you go, AJ. Like I said, just shoot me an email. I'll send it over to you. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's a great question, Jack. I need to look into that more. If it's not getting hot or producing the same kind of fumes that like a CO, that's Jack's question. Like, since this is using like cold lasering technology with ABS and PVC, is it still off-gassing those nasty things that you would off-gas if you used a CO2 laser or a fiber laser? I have to do more research on that before I answer that question. I don't want to say something stupid. See, it's okay to say I don't know. Oh, okay. Clack, it's like 70 degrees. Tennessee asked Shopify or Wix. I am undecided. Okay, so here's my answer to that, Tennessee. If you're planning on selling online and hosting, you know, products online, and you need a full shipping suite with like pictures and options and checkout and all that stuff that would go with an online e-commerce store, then you're definitely going to want to use Shopify. If you're just trying to build a business website that just talks about your business, has pictures of your business, a contact form, maybe some videos about your business, and an information page, I would go with Wix because it's cheaper. But definitely anything e-commerce. And I'll tell you why. I'll follow up with that. The reason why is I used to have shopping on Wix as well. They do have, you know, you can build an e-commerce store. But what the issue was with Wix was anytime I got orders that were like 30 or 40 orders, like that needed to be fulfilled, fulfilling those orders on the back end was a nightmare. It was like super slow. It was buggy. I couldn't do batch shipping on labels and just select all the orders and print out all the labels at once. It just was not really the best at fulfilling a large volume orders. But as soon as I switched to Shopify for my online store, man, I was like, man, I should have been using this a long time ago for e-commerce stuff. But the Wix store, when I just had it as a regular business website, did fine. Sunny, I don't know if I'd say that the Omni1 is the best pound for pound UV laser for a small business because I don't really have anything to compare it to. What I can tell you is that so far it's done everything that I asked it to. I can tell you that the price is the best price I've seen for any kind of decent UV laser. I mean, it's like 4K, right? I've been looking, last year I was looking at any UV lasers anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 to 17,000. So when this thing came online, I was like, whoa. That's all. I don't have anything to compare it to. Like, I would love to get a higher end UV laser in here at some point. Maybe that's 10 watts or built by a different manufacturer so I could have something to compare it to. But I can tell you it's done a great job so far. I'm really enjoying how it's engraving. It's working. Hasn't glitched out on me yet. Jack, has anyone started using Michael's Marketplace? Sounds like they're trying to compute. Dude, what's up with that? Jack, tell us about that. I haven't even heard of that. You talking like Michael's Crafts is trying to make an Etsy type place? Huh. Trippy. Down and dirty, the Omni1 UV laser is 5 watts. Typically, the common flavors for UV lasers are 5 or 10 watts. But don't let that fool you, because 5 watts in UV is not the same as 5 watts in a CO2 laser or a fiber laser, because it's a different wavelength of light. Don't get caught up so much on the watts when it comes to UV lasers. You don't even get to control the power level on UV lasers. You only get to control the frequency, the pulse, and the speed. Just a whole different animal. Hey, Lucky, you definitely need an exhaust system for a UV, any laser. Yes, it produces particulates that are being, there is a fine glass powder that's coming off of this right now, and it's going into the fume extractor. So you need some kind of ventilation for any kind of laser. You need to extract the dust and any small amount of fumes that are coming off the material that you're laser engraving. Yes, the answer is yes, Lucky. Yeah, Clack. That sounds about right. It sounds good in theory. Makes sense. You know, there's still vapors coming off of stuff. I've definitely smelt it when I've been engraving different materials. Not a lot of smoke or anything like you would get with CO2 or anything, but you can. There's still a little bit of smell that, on a microscopic level, there is some fumes coming off of different materials. Yeah, I'm using Lightburn down and dirty with this unit. It works with Lightburn and it works with Easy CAD 2 as well. This unit right here. Lucky, if you think my fume extractor is really quiet, then that must mean that the noise canceling that I'm using on this microphone is working really, really well because it is, I don't think it's that quiet. Yeah, exactly, Clyde. You guys don't even hear it? Oh, that's awesome. Wow. I'll have to watch this stream later and see how good of a job this is the I'm recording all this with the DJI Mic 2, and then the camera is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So they kind of work together. Wow. That's amazing because in here in the shop it's not like a jet engine, but it's definitely not quiet. By the way, for anybody curious, I'm using the micro filter box fume extractor. Um, it's very compact, very small. Not the cheapest fume extractor out there, but it does a good job. If you're looking for another good fume extractor, the X-Tool AP2 Safety Pro, which is over there next to my F1 Ultra, is also a very good fume extractor. Budget-friendly, entry-level fume extractor. It's been doing a really good job, not going to lie. So the filter box micro is about $2,000, maybe a little bit more. And I don't know what the current price is for the AP2 Safety Pro over on X-Tool right now. I don't know, is it like 600-700, something like that? But it has multi-chambered filters, charcoal filters, HEPA filters, a cyclone filter, which is really interesting on the top to help kind of gather the large particulates. So if you are looking for a fume extractor, check both of those out. Obviously, the filter box is the higher end fume extractor for sure. Yes, Angry Charlie, great question. You can engrave PLA from a 3D printer with a fiber laser. You can also engrave PLA with the Commarker Omni1 5-watt UV laser. You can even engrave PLA with a CO2 laser. Just depends on what kind of look you're looking for. So, oh my God, guess what? We're down to the last box. Very excited, people. Very excited. You know that feeling? Some of you know that feeling. I know you're at different levels in your journey as in your engraving business, but you know that feeling you get when you've been working on a big job and you're down to the last couple of pieces and you know that you're done and it's time to go over and send out the invoice. And you can just wipe that job off your plate and be like, I did that and it's done. I'm getting that feeling right now. Let's see, what did I get here? Grade the back of my firework well, but red was a no-go. Yeah, so different colors of PLA you might have a challenge with when it comes to getting a mark. That's definitely with fiber lasers, but with the UV laser, you will be able to engrave all colors of PLA. Hands down, the UV laser is not color dependent at all. It does not care what color the object is, as opposed to a fiber laser or a diode laser. The UV laser will engrave all PLA, even metallic PLA or clear PLA. It doesn't care. It's not picky. PLA is, you can do it with the diode. It just might struggle with certain colors. Now for the taste test. Hey, what's up, Samcraft? That's what someone else said earlier in the stream. They were like, you should check each bottle to make sure that it meets the standards and then cork it back up. Let's see. Cool. Thanks for the clarification. I only had to engrave black in my fiber. Speaking of invoicing, would you share what a job like this would be? Okay. Hey, Nancy, we already covered that earlier in the stream. I know you're just joining, but yeah, you should watch earlier in the stream. We covered what I was charging for this specific job. There's a lot of things that go into it, but if you just want hard numbers, I charged a $35 setup fee and then $18.50 per mark per bottle, and there are 60 Jack Daniels glass bottles that are getting engraved. Yeah, exactly, Clack. So, but Nancy, I would encourage you to go back in the video and listen to the part where I broke down why I came up with that price, and that it's not just like any bottle that comes in my door that's the automatic price if you have 60 bottles. There's a lot of factors that go into pricing it. Could be less, could be more. Yeah, for PLA with fiber lasers, you're going to have your best luck with darker colored PLA, like black, dark gray. The darker, the better. Yeah, color with fiber lasers, getting marks on plastic and polymers of different kinds is definitely, I would consider it a specialized art form. I have a lot of different settings that I've made over the years for different types of plastics on the fiber laser for getting marks. I have settings for Glock polymer, settings for other black polymers or cases of different electronic devices that have come in. I have settings for Apple iPhone plastic. Like it's not just like you have one polymer setting that works on everything. You have to really have built this library up. Um, and changing the line spacing, changing the hatch spacing also plays a big factor when you're engraving on plastic using a fiber laser. Not talking about this laser right here. I'm talking about fiber lasers. All those things play into if what kind of mark you get on different plastics, you know, and what color and how fast. It is kind of an art form. See you, Clack. Have a good night. Todd, I do not run a material test for each different type of glass. I have found so far, to answer your question, that the glass setting that I have been using has worked on both glass and crystal. All the same, doesn't care. And if you want that setting, you can get it off my website, laserengraving911.com. I don't know if we already talked about that, but anyway, sign up for free. You can download all my settings, the Lightburn library for the Omni1 UV laser. So it's worked on all the glass I've tried it on, including crystal. Whew. Here we go. Yeah, Clack does have a great channel, doesn't he? Having some fun over there for sure. What's up, guitar dude? Let's see, what else can I tell you about this thing? Oh, the other thing that this machine has, the Commarker Omni1, is it has a automatic Z-axis. So there's some buttons in the front here that will bring the laser head up and down. And that has been really nice because the only other machine I have that does that is the F1 Ultra. You can raise or lower the laser head. My other older 50-watt fiber, which you can't see, it's off camera, I actually have the crank wheel, which is nice when you're trying to get really precise, and I've just gotten used to it over the years. But having this automatic Z adjustment here in the front is really nice. And then when I need to make finer adjustments, I can just reach up here and I still have the wheel to fine tune everything. So that's been really cool. Well, this is my first Commarker, man. So I've never had an automatic Z um, axis, so it's been really nice to have. I've enjoyed it. Hey, Ross. No, so far on all the things I've been engraving, it has not produced a lot of fumes. I do have a fume extractor in place right here, so if there were any, but as far as like visual smoke or visual things like that, not a lot at all. Hope that answers your question, Ross. You guys, anybody in here, make sure you smash that like button. Uh, you got it, Ross. Oh man, what are we down to? 3 bottles? Look at that, look at that, look at that. We got 3 bottles left. Then I can go and take these goggles off. I'm gonna kick back. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some Netflix and chill in my pajamas and watch a nice show and fall asleep. I need that right now. Well, anybody who just jumped in, Sam, I don't know if you saw this part yet, but that's the kind of results we're getting. Pretty sick. Sam says, did you check the level of your Omni laser head compared to the bed? Look for, and that mine was level with the bed. Nope. I had, that's why Omni1 couldn't hit a reliable. Oh, yes, I did, Sam. Yeah, I did make sure that everything was on point there. So it worked pretty good. But yeah, that's something that's really good advice. You should always check that from any kind of manufacturer. That's something you can check to make sure. What he's talking about is that this this plane right here is level with this plane right here, and there's a way you can do that in Lightburn. It's funny, Sam. I was just watching one of your video you posted today about the bamboo lab stuff. Very interesting. I always like Sam's format where he just kind of walks circles around his shop as he's talking and does like a brain dump on you of what's going on with him. I just like it keeps movement. It keeps me engaged. I like that. I like that kind of walking vlog style. So uh, I like your style, Sam, and I do enjoy your channel. If any of you haven't signed up over at Sam's channel, he's got some great stuff over there. Guitar Dude, they do offer support. You're not going to be able to like pick up the phone. Guitar Dude asks if I'm concerned about them being in China and offering no US, they have no US support team. You know, I've just kind of gotten used to that with a lot of these companies. It's just kind of how it is. It's not a concern. Is it as nice as being able to pick up the phone Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and talk to someone and have them help you with a problem? Um, you know, that's always nice to have. And if a company has that in place, you're probably not going to pay $4,000 for the laser for that kind of service. You're going to have to buy something. It's going to cost more because it costs that company more to have a staff of US support to help you solve your problem with the lasers. So that is one of the things with buying from overseas that you may have to accept for that low price is that your customer support may be through WeChat or, you know, via email or via their support ticket thing. That's just kind of common practice now. But when you go with a US company, you get different kind of customer support where you can pick up the phone and talk to someone, and you can get faster responses, but you're also going to pay a higher price for that US product. Hope that helps answer your question. Yeah, the run and gun. I like that. When I'm trying to get into a commercial space right now, maybe I'll try some of that style when I have more room to walk around, Sam. I think I'll give it a go. Led Zepp, man, thanks for joining from across the pond, dude. Good night. Understood. Thank you for joining. Second to last. Second to last. Whew. 150 by 150 millimeters, Ross, is the answer to your question on size. Jack, you weren't subbed to Sam's channel? Oh, shame on you. Hey, Ross, thanks, man. Thanks for becoming a super fan. I appreciate that, buddy. Ooh, they offer a 200 by 200. Yeah, I'm using the 150 by 150, Ross. It does come with the 70 by 70. Haven't found really a need for that one yet, but I guess they offer that. I don't know, with the 200 by 200, Sam, I would like to have it 10 watts to really utilize that. I think that would probably be higher wattage for the 200 by 200. Down and dirty, I'm not using the foot switch. We talked about that earlier. I'm just hitting the start button and light burn. I could use the foot switch. I'm just not really a foot switch guy. It does come with one. Yeah, I didn't put on, you know what, Tennessee, I have the same one that Sam has, and I know it has face tracking. And I tried that when I did my last one, and it was just like, I move around a lot, and dude, it was all over the place. So I did not turn on face tracking. Yeah, the 200 by 200, definitely need a 10-watt UV to maximize that area. I haven't seen any power drop all the way out on the edges, but like Sam was saying, you need to make sure that everything's level and your focus is tight and clean. You know, if you are seeing some kind of power drop way out on the outside, that could be one of the issues, is that, you know, this is not perfectly, level to this right here. Sam, yeah, I know you're just joining. I actually made, when I first got the machine, I made my own focal stick right away and found my own focal point, um, just because I've been finding focal points of fiber lasers in all my machines kind of for a long time. So I know how to do that. So as soon as I found my preferred best focal point, I made this, and this is what I use. I didn't trust what they gave me. I always have to make my own perfect focal point. It's the last one. It's the last. I'm so excited. Very excited right now. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm like shaking. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being dramatic. Don't screw it up, right? That was a perfect run. My customers expect nothing less. Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate that. Hey, Ross. You can get an enclosed laser machine. I think they might even sell an enclosure. You don't have to have one. I'm wearing goggles right now. So my eyes are protected, which is the most important thing. This is a class 4 laser. Um, so you need to be wearing goggles and have proper fume extraction. You can get lasers like this with shrouds, without shrouds. Um, Nobody else is here in the shop with me, so nobody's in danger of getting a stray beam. Um, so there's a difference between class 1 and class 4, but you can turn a class 4 into a class 1 by putting a shroud around it and a viewing window. Night, Angry Charlie. Thanks, buddy. You got it, Tennessee. No problem. Yeah, this one has a rotary port for sure. The Omni one. You got it, Lucky. No problem, buddy. I think they might sell an enclosure too. Guitar dude. Let's see. The final question. What are some of the things that I don't like about the Omni one? Um, it's a little chunky. It's a lot bigger than a lot of other fiber lasers, but that's kind of understandable because there's a lot going on with this thing. It's kind of heavy. It's a little bit bigger. Um, I feel like the tower is cool, but like there's like a little sticker with like the on the z-axis that shows where you're at on your z column, and that is kind of peeling off. So I feel like they could have done a little. These are just little nitpicky things. Um, you know, there's really it's my first UV laser, so it's kind of hard to compare it to other things. It hasn't done me wrong yet. It hasn't glitched out. It hasn't done anything weird. Um, I don't really have too much bad to say about it. The one thing, yes, there is one thing. So the one thing I wish they would change is that to use the 70 millimeter by 70 millimeter, you this doesn't go all the way down to the surface. So you have to use like a little riser base to use the 70 millimeter by, and I think in a perfect world, I don't want to use that riser base. I would want to go focus when I put the 70 millimeter lens on, I would want to focus all the way down to whatever's on the table. So I hope they change that in future iterations. But I use this 150 by 150 all the time. So I don't really care, to be honest with you. All right, peeps. Oh my God. We just did all those bottles. That was awesome. I'm fried. I don't know about you guys. Um, but not using enclosure. Yeah, guys, I am. It's been really fun hanging out, and I'm so glad that you guys popped in and hung out with me. It made my job go faster and at the same time slower because I was answering comments. But they were fun, man. And I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Um, don't forget that at the APA show, if you look on the schedule, I'll be going live next week again, but this time I'll be doing a live Q&A on here on YouTube. but I'll be doing it to a live audience at the APA show, and I'll be streaming it and fielding questions from people here on YouTube at the same time. So keep an eye out for that. All right. So until next time, we'll see you around on Laser Engraving 911. Good night.